Justin Baldoni has spent years playing the perfect man on screen, wealthy, confident, and desirable. But what if I told you that behind the cameras he was living a lie? Hollywood loves to sell you an image of masculinity, one where men are powerful, emotionless, and always in control. But Justin? He realized that everything he was taught about being a man was a complete lie. From breaking down in private to questioning his entire identity, Justin Baldoni has fought battles that most men are too afraid to talk about. And when he finally decided to speak out, he didn't just risk his career, he shattered the illusion of Hollywood masculinity forever. This is the truth about Justin Baldoni that they don't want you to hear. From struggles to stardom, the early days. Before Justin Baldoni became the charismatic Rafael Solano in Jane the Virgin, his life was anything but glamorous. Born in Los Angeles in 1984, Justin grew up in a household that was different from most. His father was Italian, his mother was Jewish, and he was raised with a deep sense of spirituality. But from an early age, Justin found himself struggling with an invisible battle, one that he wouldn't fully understand until much later in life. He shattered the illusion of Hollywood masculinity. Justin was taught that being a man meant being strong, tough, and emotionally reserved. Crying was a sign of weakness, and sensitivity was something to hide. Society made it clear men were supposed to dominate, achieve, and never show vulnerability. These expectations weighed on him, but instead of questioning them, he did what most young boys do. He played along. He pushed himself in sports, tried to fit the mold, and buried any feelings that didn't align with the rigid definition of masculinity that had been forced upon him. Despite his efforts to fit in, Justin always felt like an outsider. He wasn't just struggling emotionally, his career dreams seemed impossible too. Hollywood was brutal, and breaking in as an actor was a near impossible task. He faced rejection after rejection, bouncing between failed auditions and odd jobs just to survive. At his lowest point, he was even living out of his car, showering at the gym and wondering if he would ever get his big break. The world saw Hollywood as a place of glitz and glamour, but for aspiring actors like Justin, it was a battlefield of self-doubt and disappointment. What kept him going was an unshakable belief that he was meant for something more. He knew that he had a voice, a story to tell, but he had no idea that the biggest story he would tell wouldn't be on screen. It would be his own battle against the very system that had shaped him. The role that changed everything. For years, Justin struggled to land a significant acting role. He had bit parts in TV shows and small films, but nothing that set him apart. Then, in 2014, everything changed. He landed the role of Rafael Solano in Jane the Virgin, and just like that, he became a household name. The show was a massive success, running for 5 seasons and catapulting him into the limelight. But while fans adored him for his on-screen confidence and charm, behind the scenes, Justin was dealing with an identity crisis that no one knew about. Hollywood had a clear blueprint for leading men: tall, muscular, confident, and emotionally reserved. Rafael Solano was the embodiment of that image. He was rich, successful, and had an undeniable allure. But Justin knew that this version of masculinity was a fantasy. The real world didn't work like that, and yet, millions of men were watching characters like Rafael and believing that they had to live up to that impossible standard. The longer Justin played the role, the more he felt like he was part of the problem. He wasn't just acting in a show, he was reinforcing a damaging narrative. He knew firsthand how harmful these stereotypes could be, and he started to feel suffocated by the persona he was expected to maintain both on and off screen. What made things worse was that Hollywood didn't just want him to play Rafael on TV, they wanted him to embody that character in real life. The industry had no room for men who showed weakness or vulnerability. If he wanted to stay successful, he had to keep up the act. But Justin wasn't interested in pretending anymore. Strategic bargaining years hiding his true feelings of legal opinion, wasn't going to spend the rest of his career trapped in a lie. By anchoring part of the case in New York, the dark side of fame, the complaint appears to be capitalizing on a jurisdiction known for its is the dream of many. But what no one tells you is that fame often comes with a hidden cost. For Justin Baldoni, landing the role of Raphael Solano in Jane the Virgin seemed like the ultimate career breakthrough. Almost overnight, he went from struggling to book roles to being a recognized face across the world. His character was charismatic, rich, drama, and confident, unfolding right now. The perfect Hollywood leading man, but behind the cameras, Justin was wrestling with a stepping into the fray with an unexpected barrage of legal maneuvers. The more he played Raphael, the more he realized that the Hollywood version of masculinity was an illusion. By anchoring part of the industry were expected to be the complaint appears to be capitalizing on a jurisdiction known for its sensitivity and vulnerability. Those were aimed at building an ironclad case. It wasn't just about weaving in additional it was about upholding an entire cultural expectation of what a man and every jurisdiction and celebrity legal battles. Millions of men were looking at characters like Raphael more than a mere formality. This was the standard they had to live up to. It reflects a calculated effort to harness local judicial portrayed in Hollywood. Might be more sympathetic to the question's multifaceted claims. If he, as a successful actor, to expand the roster of involved expectations aimed at building an ironclad struggling in silence, by weaving in additional evidence and testimonies that could strengthen their overall tied to their ability to appear strong and emotionless. He began to see a pattern in society toward the final dead attempt to outmaneuver the opposition. Only how to suppress them. As these new twists continue to unfold, their mental health, the legal community is a buzzword. Are a sign of an impending breakthrough was risky, or a desperate attempt to fortify a carefully maintained images. All while the challenging those images meant risking his final career, his reputation, and his future in the industry. That is as much about perception as it is about hard evidence. He wouldn't just be seen as an actor anymore. Orchestrating a campaign of as a troublemaker, the disruptor, of individuals challenging the very foundation of masculinity. Although these testimonies are referenced obliquely, he wasn't sure he was ready for. The implication is clear. Something inside him a silent chorus of voices that could spend years living in fear of what people would think, and to wonder how these undisclosed complaints ready to speak, challenging viewers to sift through the layers of rhetoric and determine where truth ends. Justin Baldoni's transformation from an actor to an activist, as the controversy didn't happen overnight. Every new allegation began with a simple but powerful question, or that what if everything we've been taught about being a man delving into the heart of production drama and creative control, the more he realized that society's definition of masculinity was outdated and damaging, and even marketing had struggled with these expectations, suggesting that the true struggle was not solely about resolving past grievances. It was time for that to change. Through a series of pointed allegations, in 2017, Justin took his biggest Blake Lively's team is framing the conflict titled "Why I'm Done Trying to Be Man Enough." Art, it was raw, emotional, and unlike anything Hollywood had seen before. He spoke about his own insecurities as part of the essence of celebrity identity, pressures that had been placed on men for generations. References to leverage, he called out the harmful ideas that told men as well as with an undercurrent of defiance against, for they had to constantly prove their worth through dominance. He talked about the way Hollywood had reinforced these ideas, that Blake Lively's team were framing the conflict as it challenges the notion that artistic expression, the video went misstep in direction, and for the first time, men around the world began opening up about their own experiences. Thousands of messages poured in from men who felt like someone had finally put their struggles into words. The ramifications of these developments will invite you to join in this ongoing discussion deeper, to weigh in as a stepping stone to a narrative that is still defining my masculinity, business, where he took an even more personal dive into his journey, not merely a misstep in direction, but a calculated maneuver designed to secure control is the ultimate bringing together celebrities, thought leaders, and everyday men to have allegations, unfiltered conversations about Blake Lively's team is framing the conflict as strategic bargaining chip. He wasn't just talking, he was starting a movement in favor of not everyone was ready for it. By anchoring part of the case in New York, the complaint appears to be capitalizing on a jurisdiction known for its nuanced interpretation. The backlash that is as much about perception as it is about hard evidence for the conversation. At the heart, some accused him of being too soft, too emotional, or trying to weaken men. Others dismissed his message entirely, celebrity saying identity. That real men don't need to talk about their feelings, with references to leverage, always tactical quick to attack, as well as with an undercurrent of defiance against, and the legal gears turning at an while others celebrated him for trying to change something that had been in place for generations. The ramifications of these developments criticism didn't come from strangers on the internet. It came from a desperate attempt to fortify a case already. The industry had built an empire on selling the image of the strong, silent, dominant man. And now, one of its own was tearing that image apart. Some industry figures started distancing themselves. some opportunities quietly disappeared. He wasn't being blacklisted outright, but it was clear that his outspokenness was making some people uncomfortable. And yet Justin refused to stop. He knew the truth: men were struggling, and ignoring the problem wasn't going to make it go away. He had spent years conforming, pretending, playing a role that didn't feel real. He wasn't going to go back to that. Instead, he doubled down. He kept pushing, kept speaking, kept challenging the norms that had controlled men for so long. He wasn't just an actor anymore. He was a revolutionary voice in a conversation that was long overdue. His book continued to sell, his podcast continued to grow, and despite the hate, his message was reaching the people who needed it most. But the question remained: was Hollywood ready for a new kind of masculinity? Or was the old system too deeply ingrained to change? The future of Justin Baldoni, a legacy beyond acting. Justin Baldoni is no longer just an actor. He's a filmmaker, a speaker, an activist, and a storyteller who is reshaping masculinity for a new generation. His production company, Wayfarer Studios, isn't focused on making mindless blockbusters. Instead, it's dedicated to telling real, impactful stories. Stories that challenge perspectives and push for real social change. He's not interested in just making money, he wants to make a difference. His 2020 film Clouds was a perfect example of that. It wasn't about action heroes or perfect men, it was about real, raw human emotion. It told the story of a young musician fighting terminal cancer, a film that touched people on a deeper level. And that's exactly the kind of impact Justin wants to leave behind. But the fight isn't over. Society's definition of masculinity isn't going to change overnight. The resistance is still strong, and many people refuse to accept that men can be both strong and vulnerable. But if Justin's journey has proven anything, it's that change starts with one voice, one conversation, one person brave enough to ask the difficult questions. And he isn't stopping anytime soon. Because for Justin Baldoni, this isn't just about redefining masculinity. It's about changing the world.